Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and welcome to another music collection update. I have a lot of stuff to show, so I'm just gonna get right into it. Alright, so first up is the album Total Death by Darkthrone. This took me so long to get a hold of. Out of any of the other Darkthrone albums I have gotten so far. Mainly because I don't know if this is just overall the most popular Darkthrone album. I mean, it's not the most iconic, but I think it might be the most popular, considering that every time a listing of this album comes up on either eBay or Amazon, it's sold out completely, like within like the next day. So every time I've tried to buy this one, it was always sold out. Went to a store, not the record store I usually go to. It wasn't really it was a music and bookstore and movie store kind of combo. And they had this, and I was like, holy shit, they actually have it, because I've never seen this in any stores, only online. And again, every time I tried to buy it online, it was always sold out. Yeah, this album, I believe it's, I don't know. I think it's from their. I think it's from the 90s, but I'm not entirely sure. But this is, yeah. I'm really happy to actually finally get this. And yeah, I can't wait to listen to it. All right. Next up is an album by a very, very underrated band, and that is the album. Rather Death Than False of Faith by the band Hydra Vein. This band, oops, sorry, I almost knocked that over. This band was a very, very underground thrash metal band in like the mid to late 80s, I believe. The band hasn't put out an album since, I believe, 1989, unfortunately, mainly due to the fact that their singer died a few years back. And yeah, the band's technically, well, according to at least what I've been able to come up with it, according to both Wikipedia and the Metal Archives, the band is active, but hasn't put out an album in such a long time. So I don't know if they're actually still active, or if both Wikipedia and the Metal Archives are wrong about that. But yeah, this is their first album from, I believe, 1988. Yeah, from 1988, and very underground, obscure thrash metal. But you know what? The band is actually really, really good. Despite their obscurity. And actually, this was pretty much just a blind buy. Like, I knew nothing about this band. I just saw this artwork and I'm like, huh, interesting, and just picked it up. But, yeah. Alright, next is not really an album. It's actually a soundtrack to a movie, and that is the soundtrack to the movie The Goonies. This one, hold on, give me a second. Alright. This one actually surprised me. Oh, I have it upside down, there we go. This one actually surprised me, considering that I was not expecting this to be an all-instrumental soundtrack, just because, for anyone who's watched The Goonies, which is probably millions of people by now, but there's this one song in it that was not an instrumental song, was actually by, I believe, a solo artist. I can't remember her name, but I think the song was called Good Enough For Me, and it actually had a music video to go along with it. And so I really thought that would be on the soundtrack, but apparently not. It's only the instrumental sections from the music from that movie, and does not include the Good Enough For Me song, which I was kind of disappointed in, but I kind of understand. I mean, I guess perhaps they didn't get the rights to put that song on the actual soundtrack, but I don't know. But despite that song not being on here, it's still very, very good. And yeah, The Goonies is actually one of my favorite movies of the 1980s. Now, this version of the soundtrack does come with a couple of bonus tracks. Mainly alternate versions of certain songs that are on the main track listing of the soundtrack. Sorry, they're not really in any order, or I mean the bonus tracks aren't really. I mean, yeah, they're numbered, but they're not in chronological order of when they were presented in the actual movie. But the bonus tracks include an alternate version of the Fortelli Chase, an alternate version of the Triple Stones and a Ball, and the alternate versions of their Hair and Skull Cave Chase and Octopus, which, of course, the Octopus infamous deleted scene that, for whatever reason, they, for the most part, on most releases of that movie, they didn't add as like a deleted scene. Although one of the more recent re-releases on Blu-ray, I think, has it. I mean, I have the Blu-ray which does have that deleted scene, but it's unfortunate that up until recently, that deleted scene was not on any home video release as like a deleted scene. But anyway, but yeah, this is really cool because it does have the. Like I said, it does have the musical score from that deleted scene, which is really cool. But yeah, great soundtrack, and it does come on a colored vinyl. It's sort of a yellow, almost like a mustard yellow color. Really interesting. I've never seen a vinyl with that particular shade of yellow before, but yeah, awesome. Alright, these next three are all original pressings. These three are classic, from just the classic era of metal. And I'm gonna go in chronological order with these ones. So, first up is an original 1976 pressing of Sad Wings of Destiny by Judas Priest. This is one of those albums that at first I didn't like, and for a long time I didn't like, but within the past year or so, going back to their 70s stuff, just, to see what I think of it now, despite their other albums still not being too good, this one has grown on me so much, and recently I went to a record store I hadn't gone before, and they had like the record store, even though the metal section was very, very, very small, basically just like 4 crates, they were selling original pressings of mid to late 70s and early 80s classic metal albums. They had a lot of the early Accept albums, they had a lot of the early Judas Priest albums, and they had a lot of the early Rainbow albums as well. And I saw this, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get this, because at that point I already had fallen in love with the album. Again, it grew on me, and I'm like, oh, they have an original pressing of this, I gotta get it. And yeah, it's in very good condition. Yeah, sure, there's some scuffs here and there on the packaging, especially on the spine and in 2 of these corners, but the overall packaging is in very good condition, and the vinyl is in pretty much near mint condition. Yeah, just an amazing record that unfortunately... Oh, what the hell? I don't know. Oh, that is weird. Sorry, I think the camera is, like, the lighting on the camera is messing up. Sort of dimming and brightening, I don't know why. Anyway, So yeah, I'm just really lucky to stumble across this original pressing. Also, it's very interesting that on this release, it has the names of the band members, but Rob Halford is not called Rob Halford on here. He's called Robert Halford, which is his full name. And if I'm not mistaken, actually on the first album, Rock and Roll, the one before this, he is credited as Rob Halford, but here it's Robert Halford, and then it goes back to Rob Halford after this release. I don't know. But, yeah. Alright, now going to 1982. I finally got this in my collection. I finally got an original pressing of this album, which is my favorite album of all time, and that is The Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. Yes, oh my god. Not only am I glad I was able to get this because the remastered versions, especially the most recent one, is not that good. But the artwork, the original artwork with the brighter colors and the sort of semi-blue, grayish sky, the brighter colors, oddly enough, work with what's going on these early releases. Like, if I remember correctly, I say early releases, not early release, because I believe the single to this, or one of the singles, Run to the Hills single, did also have sort of the brighter color scheme as well in the blue sky. And I don't know, it just works. Yeah, sure, some people will be like, oh, but it's sort of like, it's supposed to be sinister and dark, it's a depiction of hell and the devil and demons and fire and stuff, so the remastered with the black sky works a lot better with the atmosphere and the theme. Oddly, no. The black sky on the re-release / remastered versions actually doesn't. Mainly because it literally, because it is, but it also literally feels like photoshopped, I guess. Like, it doesn't feel like the color scheme, the changed color scheme is natural, because obviously it's not. But yeah, it just doesn't have the right feel to it. Whereas the brighter colors somehow work a lot better. And of course, it does not have the altered sort of like level of sound that they did on the remasters, because a lot of remasters have sort of like have the sound altered to make it even louder than it originally was, and that kind of messes up the actual original sound quality. But yeah, I actually recently got the remastered version of this album on vinyl, and the production on that, especially on the vinyl, was super muddy, super just, it was ruined. Like here's the thing, it sounded okay on the remastered, on the CD version of the remastered one, but when I got the vinyl recently, I put that remastered vinyl on, and yeah, it was even worse. When they remastered the vinyl, it just sounded so muddied. Everything was too buried in the mix, and it was just awful. But yeah, the original sound, definitely better than the dumb remastered version. And yeah, sorry, I'm going on and on. I need to move on to the next one. And then lastly, 1983, the original pressing of Holy Diver by Dio. Yeah, this is another one I was extremely surprised I was able to find. Now, the record store I usually go to, most of the times if you find a vinyl like that, like a classic metal album from the 80s, it's always going to be a remaster or re-release. But once in a great while, that store has an original release of a classic album. Very rarely, but when they do have one, it's always great to find. And I found this actually in the used section. Oddly enough, this is in the used section, which I very rarely go to, because unlike the majority section of the new unused vinyls. The used section is very rarely ever restocked, but once, and I was just so blown away that was in there, because again, the used vinyl section is very rarely ever restocked, unlike the other main section. And yeah, I mean, I put, when I got this, I took it home after I bought it and stuff. I was surprised that, for whatever reason, the actual vinyl sleeve was not in here. I don't know if it was lost or it tore when it was with its original owner, but I actually had to find I have spare, not only do I have spare dust covers around just in case, but I also have a couple of spare vinyl sleeves, and I put the vinyl in here because it was just sitting in the actual case without a sleeve over it. And yeah, the vinyl works really good. It does have some not scratches, but it does have some I guess just like fingerprints on it from the previous owner. It doesn't mess with the sound or anything. The sound is still really good. There's very little crackling or popping when this plays. But yeah, just really excited that I found this one. Hold on. Give me a second. But yeah, I mean, this was just a lucky week for me, really. Finding like 3 original pressings of classic albums. Well, I mean, the Judas Priest album I didn't find this week, but yeah, anyway. But yeah. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.